The invitation landed like a slap. My name in cursive, a +1 left blank, my wife erased with a single choice. We are a family that smiles tight for photos. We keep the peace, we save face, we swallow. I have done that for years. Then I learned my ex would be there. Not my wife, not my partner, not my family, but the woman my sister still chats with like nothing ever changed. I felt my chest go hot. This was not about seating charts. It was about respect. It was about who gets counted and who gets cut. My sister called it a boundary. I call it a message. You are not welcome, she told my wife without saying the words. So I set my own line. I said I would not attend, and I would not send a gift. You do not get my presence while you shut the door on my marriage. Cue the fallout. I was labeled petty, dramatic, selfish. The phone calls came in waves, all with the same plea, just go and keep the peace. Peace for who exactly? Not for me. Not for my wife, who did nothing but show up, stay polite, and try. I chose my partner. I chose my home. I chose to stop shrinking to fit a version of family that only works if I betray my vows. If you have ever been asked to smile through a slight, you know that twist in your gut. If you have ever watched someone invite your past while rejecting your present, you know this sting. I did the only thing that felt honest. I stayed out, I kept my gift, and I kept my dignity. And yes, I stand by it. Family tensions, that simmered for years. Before the invite drama, small things piled up. Little comments, quiet digs, awkward silences, nothing loud enough to blow up dinner but sharp enough to leave a mark. I learned to smooth it over, to pull a smile like a bandage. It kept the peace, but it cost me. It cost us. Why my wife and sister never clicked. It started with my sister's tone, the kind that sounds sweet until you listen twice. At my wife's first holiday with us, my sister praised the pie my wife baked, then asked if she bought the crust to save time. She laughed it off and said the crust was homemade. My sister said, "Good for you," like she was patting a kid on the head. I told myself it was nothing. A year later, my wife wore a red dress to my dad's birthday. My sister caught my eye across the table and said, "Bold choice," then asked if my wife was trying to match the balloons. I watched my wife sip her water and thank her for the feedback, gentle and steady. She did not snap. She never does. The texts were worse. Short replies from my sister, always clipped. If my wife offered help for a family event, my sister would say, "We have it handled," then text me to bring a side dish anyway. When my wife brought flowers for my mom, my sister sighed at me later and asked why we were trying so hard. I kept asking myself if I was reading into it. I wanted to be wrong. There were invites where my wife's name went missing. Group plans where everyone else's partners were tagged and mine was left out like a footnote. I would add her in the thread. My sister would reply to just me and ask if we could keep it small next time. My wife always showed up, early and prepared. She cut fruit, carried chairs, offered rides. She left things better than she found them. The quiet got heavier when my sister stayed friends with my ex. I tried not to care. They shared memes, grabbed coffee, tagged each other in throwbacks. My wife never told me to pick sides. She never made me choose. She kept her chin up and shook hands at events where my ex was there, then asked me after if I was okay. That grace humbled me. It also hurt to watch. I remember one Sunday brunch like a bruise. My wife set a tray of cinnamon rolls on the table. My sister took a bite and said, "Not too sweet," which can be good if you are into that. My wife smiled, asked if she wanted extra icing on the side, then got up and warmed some. No temper, no scene, just kindness. I sat in my chair feeling like a coil, tight and buzzing. It was death by 1,000 side eyes. I kept trying to bridge the gap. I would plan outings, suggest one-on-one time, float the idea of a spa day for the two of them. My sister would cancel last minute or bring a friend. My wife would shrug and say, "It's fine, family takes time." But I saw her shoulders drop in the car. I felt the air go thin. I cannot pin this on one moment. It was the pattern. The polite insults, the careful exclusions, the way my sister smiled at me, then iced out the person I love. Every time it happened, I split in two. The daughter and sister who wanted calm and the wife who wanted fairness. That split is the part that wore me down. Our happy marriage amid the strain. Here is the part people skip when they say, just keep the peace. My home is steady. My wife and I built a life that is warm and simple and real. We make coffee the same way every morning. We walk our dog after dinner and race to spot the first porch light on. We argue about playlists, then dance in the kitchen anyway. We read on the couch with our feet tucked under the same blanket. It is the kind of calm I used to think only other people got. When family stuff flared, we checked in. We do Sunday resets with a list on the fridge. Groceries, laundry, budget, date night. We write it down so life does not swallow our time. We talk about money without flinching. We say sorry first, even when it stings. We book therapy before we need it. These small choices made us strong. We have wins that nobody can take. We paid off a credit card we dragged around for years. We saved for a trip and watched the ocean turn silver at sunrise. We hosted our first Friendsgiving and fit 8 people at a table built for 4. We laughed until our sides hurt when the smoke alarm went off. We made new traditions that feel like ours. This is why the wedding snub hit like a body check. It was not about a chair at a party. It told me my marriage, the heart of my life, did not count. It told my wife she could do everything right, show respect, hold her tongue, and still be treated like an intruder. That is not peace. That is erasing someone I chose on purpose. If you have ever built something strong and private, you know how tender it is to protect it. My line is simple. I will not sit at a table that bans my partner and invites my past. I will not teach my wife that love means staying quiet in the hallway while other people toast. We can carry tension. We can handle awkward. What we will not do is pretend disrespect is neutral. Our marriage is not fragile. It is tested and still soft in the ways that matter. Excluding her felt like taking a red pen to our vows. That is why I stayed home. That is why I kept the gift. Not to punish, but to keep faith with the life we are building, the one that keeps me steady when family storms roll in. The invite arrives. My wife gets snubbed. The envelope looked pretty, but it carried a warning. My name, no +1. I felt the air thin. I knew I had to call. I wanted to hear her say it out loud. Not a mistake, not a printing error, a choice. Questioning the guest list choice. I called the minute I saw it. Hey, I said, calm and careful. Your invite came, my name is there, my wife's is. What happened? A pause, the kind that tells you the truth is coming and you will not like it. I did it on purpose, she said. I want the day to be peaceful. Peaceful means my wife stays home. It's not about her as a person, I just don't feel comfortable. She changes the vibe, I want to feel relaxed. You invited my ex, I said. You feel fine with her there. She's my friend, she said. She knows my crowd, you know how it is. I know my wife is my family, I said. She has never made a scene. I can't risk anything weird. It's my wedding, I need easy. Easy for who? I asked. Because it won't be easy for me. She took a breath. I heard music in the background, a playlist for a party I was no longer sure I belonged to. Please don't make this bigger, she said. Just come, be there for me, it's one day. One day, I said, where my wife gets told she does not count. I'm not trying to hurt you, she said. I'm protecting my peace. There it was, clean, direct. She did not stumble. She did not try to cover it with a joke. She admitted it was intentional and called it calm. I hung up and stared at the invite again. My wife had been polite at every event. She brought gifts, said thanks, took the high road. My sister called that energy uncomfortable. She wanted a room where my past got a chair and my partner got the door. Here is what her words really meant to me. Peaceful, keep everything familiar, even if it is unfair. Not comfortable, her preference outranks my marriage. It's my day. Your vows stop at my RSVP list. I will not pretend her discomfort explains it away. Discomfort is not a reason to exclude someone who has shown respect. It is a feeling, not a standard. No big fights, just quiet resentment. There is no juicy meltdown to point to, no drink thrown, no holiday ruined by a shouting match. It has always been smaller than that. Tight smiles, polite digs, cold texts. The kind of tension you feel in your shoulders before you feel it in your gut. That is what makes this so hard to swallow. When there is no big incident, people rush to say, let it go. They call it a preference. They say, not everyone clicks. They ask you to be flexible. Meanwhile, the person you love gets edited out of your life, one family event at a time. My wife never pushed lines. She did not clap back. She did not pick fights. She showed up, helped out, and stayed kind. You would think that would earn her a neutral spot in the room. Instead, it put her on the wrong side of a comfort test she never signed up to take. Many of you know this grind. Sibling and spouse friction that lives in the gray. Casual comments that land like a pebble in your shoe. Annoying but constant. Group chats where your partner's name slips off the list. Invitations that say, we love you but keep her at home. It builds inch by inch. You start to measure every plan against two worlds. The family you came from and the family you chose. You keep trying to blend them. You think if you plan enough brunches or hold your tongue long enough, it will smooth out. It doesn't. It just gathers weight. That is why the exclusion hits so hard. It is not a response to bad behavior. It is a decision to keep the room comfortable for everyone but us. It rewards familiarity and punishes commitment. It tells my wife to be gracious in private while she is erased in public. Here is the truth I had to accept. There may be no big fight, but there is a clear line. My sister chose what felt easy. I chose what is right for my marriage. I can live with awkward. I cannot live with rules that invite my past and silence my present. And if you have ever sat with that kind of quiet resentment, you know this is not drama. It is dignity. The ultimate insult. My ex makes the cut. Here is the part that still makes my stomach drop. My wife's chair was pulled, yet my ex gets a place card and a smile. It is the kind of twist you only catch in messy families and tidy photos. The invite did not just miss my wife's name. It honored a version of me that does not exist anymore. Lingering ties to my past relationship. I dated my ex for 4 years. We were young, serious, and sure we knew everything. We ended it clean 6 years ago. No late-night texts, no on and off loop, no secret meetings. We split, we healed, we moved on. My sister stayed friends with her. At first, I let it ride. I shrugged when they grabbed coffee or liked each other's posts. I even showed up to a few events where my ex was there and kept my cool. I told myself it was harmless. I do not feel that way now. Not when my wife is told to stay home while my ex is treated like family. That choice makes all those lingering ties look less like nostalgia and more like a statement. It turns a casual friendship into a public ranking. My past sits at the table. My present stands outside. That is the shock. Not that my sister and my ex still talk, but that their comfort matters more than my marriage. It says the break meant nothing. It says time changed me, but not the guest list. Why choosing her over my wife stings deep. This is not gossip. It is a hit to my vows. If my wife is optional, what does that say about the life we built? It suggests I chose wrong. It hints that my ex fits my family better, that my marriage is a phase my sister does not respect. It lands in layers. My judgment. It questions who I picked and why. It paints me as careless or confused. My loyalty. It tests whether I will sit pretty while my partner is sidelined. My privacy. It drags old history into a room where it does not belong. My boundaries. It dares me to accept a seat without my wife and call it love. Would you stand for this? Would you put on a suit, pose for photos, and clap for vows while your own are treated like a suggestion? I will not. My wife is not a guest I can swap out. She is my family. Watching my ex get a welcome while my wife gets a warning label is like watching someone rewrite my story while I sit in the crowd. It tells me my choices need approval that is never coming. I want peace too. Real peace does not come from banning the person I promised my life to. Real peace starts when everyone who matters gets counted and respected. Until then, every toast is a tiny lie, and I am not raising my glass to that. Drawing the line, I say no to the wedding. I drew a hard line because someone had to. I was asked to smile for photos while my wife stayed home. My ex got a seat, my partner got a warning. That is not a mix-up. That is a choice. Saying no was the only answer that matched the weight of that choice. Calling out the lack of respect. My sister called me petty for keeping the gift. She said I was punishing her. I told her it was not spite, it was boundaries. A gift celebrates the bond between families. You do not send one when the message is, your marriage does not count. You do not place a bow on disrespect and call it love. Here is why no gift felt right. It protects my home. I will not fund a party that cuts my wife out. It sends a clear message. I am not playing along with a public snub. It keeps my integrity. I cannot toast vows while mine get reduced. She called it petty because that is easier than saying what it is. It is a refusal to reward a slight. It is a stop sign in bright red. It says, if you exclude my wife, you exclude me. I also pushed back on the word boundary. True boundaries are about what you control for yourself. Her rule was not about her comfort alone. It was about ranking people in my life. That is a power play, not protection. Family inclusion is not a vibe check. It is a basic level of respect. I kept my tone calm. I kept my point sharp. If my wife is out, I am out. No seat, no gift, no pretending this is fine. Standing firm against the guilt trip. The guilt came fast, be the bigger person. It is one day. Keep the peace. I would not budge. I framed it the only honest way I could. I am honoring my wife, not punishing my sister. I said it plain. My marriage is not a costume I can hang up for a weekend. If I go without my wife, I teach her that my comfort ranks higher than her dignity. I will not teach that. To anyone in a tight family spot, here is the backbone of my choice. Speak in simple terms. My spouse is my family, full stop. Repeat the core value. I choose respect over optics. Be ready to sit with silence. Strength often feels lonely at first. I did not raise my voice. I did not throw old hurts. I stayed steady. I love my sister. I will not cause in a room that labels my wife as a problem to solve. If you are facing the same pressure, try this line. I want joy for you, and I will not betray my partner to give it. That is not payback. That is love with a spine. My no is not a tantrum. It is a promise kept. Family piles on, pressure to just show up. The calls started slow, then stacked. A chorus of calm voices asking me to bend. The message was tidy on the surface and sharp underneath. Family matters. Just show up. Keep the peace. My wife's name stayed missing in every plea, like silence could make her disappear. I kept thinking about that one empty line on the invite. A blank space can say more than a speech. It tells you who counts and who gets trimmed to avoid a scene. Parents push for family unity at all costs. My parents wanted harmony, not fairness. They called the snub a misunderstanding at first, then shifted to preference when I read back my sister's words. My mom said, try not to make waves. My dad said, it is her day. They both said, your wife can sit this one out just this once. I pushed back, clean and steady. I told them my wife had earned her seat. She had shown up, helped out, and kept kind. Excluding her was not a minor tweak. It was a statement. I said, if you remove my partner to make the room comfortable, you are asking me to remove my vows too. They downplayed it the way families do when the truth bites. It is not about her, it is about the vibe. Do it for your sister, just this one day. You are taking this too personally. I answered each line. The vibe is built on who you honor. My sister's day does not suspend my marriage. Personal is the point because the cut landed on my home. I reminded them I had never asked for a scene, only respect. My mom sighed. My dad asked me to be the bigger person. I told them bigger does not mean smaller at home. If you grew up in a family that hates conflict, you probably know this script. The peacekeepers rally. They offer solutions that ask you to fold. Smile for the photo, send a nice gift, let it go. They call it unity. It often looks like silence dressed up as manners. Here is what I said and kept saying. My wife is not optional. She is not a variable to be swapped to keep the room soft. If she is out, I am out. That is not punishment, it is a boundary that protects my life. What stung most was the casual rewrite. My parents treated the exclusion like a small detail, a ribbon color, a seating shift. I would not accept that script. I told them clear and simple. You want unity, then start with inclusion. Anything else is a pretty picture with a hole cut out of it. Weighing the cost of skipping the big day. Skipping the wedding hurt. I will not sugarcoat it. I grew up picturing a front row seat, a toast, a hug that lands. Instead, I packed my resolve and watched the date creep closer like a storm I chose to step around. There is a cost to choosing yourself. You feel it at night when the house goes quiet. You feel it when the group chat lights up with dress fittings and place cards. You feel it when your phone buzzes with another guilt-soaked plea. Still, I kept my no. My marriage had to mean more than optics. Here is what I gained, and it surprised me. Self-respect. I did not trade my vows for a chair at a party. Clarity. I saw who wanted comfort and who valued fairness. Calm at home. My wife felt chosen, not tolerated. People say peace is priceless. Sometimes peace comes with a receipt. If the price is your partner's dignity, the peace is fake. It looks smooth for a day, then rots everything under it. I chose the kind of peace that sleeps at. Was I wrong, debating loyalty and boundaries? Loyalty sounds simple until someone draws a circle and leaves your partner outside it. That invite did not just skip a name. It tested where I stand, who I protect, and what the word family means in my house. I heard the message clearly. My wife was treated like a complication, while my past got a welcome. I am not confused about priorities. Marriage is not a hobby. It is a promise with a spine. When family asks you to bend that promise for comfort, you learn what your boundaries are fast. Signs of true family support. Real support is not soft words and pretty photos. It is behavior that counts. When families care, they make room for the person you chose and show respect that is steady, not selective. Here is what true support looks like. Automatic inclusion. Spouses and partners get invites by default. No tests, no exceptions. Neutral ground with exes. If an ex must be there, they keep it low-key or they skip it. Current spouses come first. Direct communication. Concerns get handled in private, not through guest lists or silent edits. Equal invites. If siblings, partners are invited, everyone's partner is invited. No quiet cutouts. Public respect. Kindness shows up in rooms with witnesses. No two-faced smiles. Backbone from elders. Parents model inclusion and shut down petty favorites. Repair over comfort. They work to fix tension. They do not ban the person who makes them grow. Contrast that with what happened here. My wife's name was erased, but my ex's name was inked. Peace became a code word for control. Vibes outranked vows. I was asked to show up alone, smile, and keep quiet. Those facts matter. They reveal a ranking. They show who gets honored and who gets managed. A wedding is the clearest stage a family has. My sister used that stage to draw a map of where my marriage stands, outside the line. If you are wondering where to plant your feet, ask this. Would a loving family pressure you to attend while your spouse is excluded? Real support never asks you to split yourself at the door. Lessons from a wedding that tested us. This mess taught me more than any speech could. I learned what my marriage needs from me when family loyalty pulls hard in the other direction. I also learned that saying no can be an act of love, not a threat. Here are the takeaways I am carrying forward. Marriage first is not cruel. It is clarity. You protect the home you live in, not the optics of a photo. Boundaries speak for you. When words fail, action sets the tone. Declining the invite was a translation of my vows. Respect is non-negotiable. If someone attacks your partner with exclusion, they are testing you too. Silence has a cost. Playing along teaches the wrong lesson. It tells your spouse their dignity is flexible. You can love and still decline. Love does not require attendance. It requires honesty. Repair is possible. Reconciliation starts with a real apology, a clean invite, and consistent behavior, not guilt. Choose hope at home. Every hard no that protects your partner makes your house safer and softer. Here is the hopeful part. Boundaries can soften hearts over time. People rethink choices when the cost becomes clear. Maybe my sister realizes that inclusion is not a favor, it is the minimum. Maybe my parents learn that unity is built, not begged for. Maybe the next invite has my wife's name on it without a second thought. I am open to that day. I am ready for a fresh start that includes everyone who matters. But until actions match words, I will keep my line. I want a family table that reflects my life, not my past. My wife is not a footnote. She is the headline. And when the room honors that, I will walk in with a full heart and both hands open. I stood my ground that day, and the quiet after my no felt like a deep breath after years of holding it in. No wedding, no gift, just the solid choice to put my marriage first. My sister saw it as a slap. I saw it as survival. The family whispers faded, but the truth sharpened. Respect starts at home, or it crumbles everywhere. Looking back, that empty spot on the invite marked more than a snub. It exposed the cracks we had patched with smiles for too long. My wife, the one who bakes pies and warms icing without a word, deserved better than a hallway wait. And my ex, her seat there just proved the past clings when the present threatens comfort. I chose dignity over drama, and it freed us both. Now, weeks later, the air feels lighter. My sister sent a short text, no apology, but a hint of rethink. Maybe time will mend it, or maybe we build our own circle, one that honors every name. Either way, I sleep easy knowing I kept my vows intact. Hold your line if you face this fire. Value your partner like the anchor they are. Ask yourself, what costs more, a fake peace or a real stand? Share your stories below and let's build strength together. Your boundaries shape your world, guard them fierce.